So, thank you. I'm delighted to be here with you. I'm just surprised of how many people showed up on a Tuesday following Canada Day, but I'm thrilled. I'm the, as Steve said, the Director of Service Transformation at the City. It's a relatively new service line. It got created about two and a half years ago, along with a department called Service Innovation and Performance. I've only been with the city for about 2 years. Prior to the city, I was with IBM for about 12 years. Left IBM as an associate partner for the digital operations practice. And prior to that, I was with a company called JDS Uniphase, prior to that, JDS Vitel. And so I have a pretty good understanding of the city's ecosystem. And it's part of what I want to cover today, because I think we, as a smart city, have more potential here than probably any other city in Canada. And I really truly believe that. And I think the excitement I have around smart city is not without foundation, because we've been talking about smart cities for a long time, right? It's not a new term, but it's had more of a resurgence of late. And you may ask yourself, why is that? And I want to tackle that question. Many of you probably have a fairly good understanding given the tech sector that we have, but I want to go through that because I'm asked that question a lot. Why now? Smart city seems like an old term that we've had for a long time. Why is it so relevant again now? And it's part of the reason I joined the city, because I truly believe that any service delivery organization, public or private, cities have the greatest opportunity and window of opportunity that's opening now, and probably in the last, I'd say 30 or 40 years. And it's up to cities to take on that opportunity, seize the opportunity, and really transform the whole citizen experience in a city. And I want to walk you through that. So a couple of points. So I'll give you a bit of sense of why the focus on smart cities, an overview of the smart city, what we call the 2.0. We called it the 2.0 because, when we were first drafting this, people were saying, well, we're already smart. The City of Ottawa is already smart. We've got tons of great stuff that we've done over the years, and that's true. Many firsts at the City of Ottawa over the years. So we coined it Smart City 2.0 to really give you a sense of where we're going from this point on in our smart city journey. And so I'll cover the smart economy, the three key pillars of our strategy: smart economy, connected city, and innovative government. And I'll give you a sense of what some of the key things that we're deploying this year. We've deployed a few things already, but a few key things that we've issued this year and how we're doing it and how we're trying to involve people in the development of these solutions. So why smart city? Why the resurgence? A couple of data points, because the data really tells the story here, right? The facts and figures really tell the story. As of 2018, over 80% of the Canadian North American population lives in cities, right? The UN expects 2/3 of the population globally to be living in cities, right, by 2050. The top 5 cities in Canada represent 45% of the GDP. If you consult the World Bank, they'll tell you that it's an estimated 80% of the world's GDP is in cities, right? Now think about that for a moment. And it's not decreasing, right? It's increasing. There's an increase in concentration of people, money, and capital in urban areas. And we're not the only ones seeing that, right? The whole high-tech community, from Cisco to IBM to Google, by the way, and whatever you may think of Sidewalk Labs, controversy aside, they created a division responsible for urban development, right? Google has, right? You got to think about that for a minute, because they're seeing what we're seeing. And if you keep going down the path of the data, in the City of Ottawa, by 2036, the region will have nearly 1.8 million residents, right? And we just crossed the million mark in Ottawa just a few weeks ago, actually. So big milestone for the city, right? And again, concentration is happening here as well. I focus on the smartphone not because it's, I'm targeting apps, because it's not about apps. But fundamentally, if you look at the last 10 years, back to, smart city feels like it's an old term. It's been around for a long. So what's changed? Well, 10 years ago, Apple issued its first iPhone. Not because it's just about the iPhone, but they truly revolutionized the smartphone, right? And if you look at the penetration rate of cell phones, by 2020, 80% of Canadians will have a smartphone. That's astounding, right? And so your ability to connect with people on the smartphone, connect people with the world around them, is unparalleled, right? So 10 years ago when we were talking about smart city, it felt like a different play. Now we've got demographics, the economics trending in the same direction, the concentration of capital, people in cities and urban areas, but the tech has caught up, right? The people tech has caught up, right? And it's only increasing. And so that creates a tremendous opportunity in an urban setting in a city. And if you look at the mobile economy that's estimated to generate $800 billion in economic activity in North America and 2.5 million jobs, that's part of the story. You look at venture capital, and I don't have to tell you what that means as an indicator, of a future indicator, a leading indicator, if you will, of where investment is going. By some measures, there's more venture capital funding in urban tech than healthcare and big pharma, right? An estimated $44 billion in 2017. So you look at all the data points and facts and figures, and it starts to tell a story. And for municipalities, here's the trick, is for municipalities, as a service delivery organization, and you're nothing if not a service delivery organization at this level of government, you have more assets and infrastructure connected together in a way that you can connect with people in the world around them more than any other organization, public or private, bar none. We have sensors on our water mains, on our street lights. We have ability to connect with the car, with the home. We have sensors on our fleets, on our buildings. We have ways of connecting with people in ways that if you were a private sector organization, you would only dream of being that closely connected with your customer base. Yet we have that potential. For the first time, there's that window of opportunity opening around your ability to connect with these folks in ways that you just couldn't before. And so that's your competitive edge in a municipal government. If the Ottawa community was a corporation, we'd be its chief client experience officer, right? From the time you leave in the morning to the time you commute to work to the time you enjoy Parks and Rec on the weekends, we have ways of connecting with you. And that for us, in a nutshell, for Smart City 2.0, is a big part of how we want to innovate government services and provide an innovative government experience. And I'm going to go through some of the things that we're doing that's at the very beginning of that journey. So again, we have three pillars: innovative government, connected city, and smart economy. And all of them are interrelated, right? If I'm going to provide you an experience in context and connects you with the world around you, a connected city is a critical component of that, right? The connectivity that allows us to do that, not just in the core, but in the rural areas as well. And we have quite the rural area here in Ottawa, for those that are unfamiliar with. When I joined the city, and I'll go through this in a bit, I was surprised by the geographic sprawl that the city has and the challenges that that presents in a smart city context. And of course, the smart economy, right? I mean, we have a base here of competitive advantage that cities would dream of having, right? We have a great presence of public service and people that are passionate about public service here, a hub, if you will, in Ottawa. And we also have a high-tech hub that has a great foundation in telecommunications, but it's much more diversified today than it was even 10 years ago. And if we could marry that up together, the magic could happen, right? Magic could happen. So I want to go through this in a bit of, not a lot of detail, but give you a sense of direction of where we're going in terms of real things that we're doing. Smart economy. So two key pieces here: supporting the knowledge-based sector, right? We have a huge advantage there. We got to double down on that. And attracting and retaining talent. right? How do we continue to grow that piece in the City of Ottawa? And you might be surprised to know, and there's different facts and figures here, but of the top 250 Canadian tech companies by location, we are second, right? So we got quite a bit of, and I don't need to tell you this, but we often tout this because people don't know this necessarily outside the City of Ottawa, of how much of a cluster and hub of high-tech talent that we have here. And that's a critical piece that we want to nurture and grow. And we have a strong partnership with Invest Ottawa, and I think Mike Tremblay might still be here. I'm not sure if he's still here in the audience, but there he is in the very back. And so Mike Tremblay and his team at Invest Ottawa have really been at the forefront of this piece here and are really driving some really exciting things. I'm not going to take complete credit for these next slides, Mike, because I know that that's being led by your shop. But the thing is, we've really partnered with Invest Ottawa in really driving these elements. So let me give you a sense of what we're doing. We have an innovation pilot program at the city. We started in 2016, I think, Matt, right? 2016. And we've had about 100 applications received to date. We have 24 pilots completed or underway, and this is just a sample of some of the companies that we're working with. So we're doing our part to try to drive some innovation, outside innovation in, helping local tech companies test their beta products in real service delivery applications to really foster that smart economy and that growth. And this program has tons of potential. And I know Councillor Suds and I have talked about where we might be able to take this program, but it's important to know that we are open for business when it comes to innovation. And this is just the beginning, I think, of our journey on the innovation pilot program. So that's an important piece. The Ottawa L5, kind of level 5 autonomous vehicle test beds, we have two. This is a real showpiece for us. And when I say for us, for the City of Ottawa more broadly. Now, I'm not just talking about local government. And Mike Tremblay and his team have done a fantastic job at Invest Ottawa. I don't know if any one of you took part in the announcement of the most latest test track, the Ottawa Greenbelt. But it was just a phenomenal turnout in a day that was really not that great from a weather perspective, but man, did we have a lot of people show up and a lot of excitement about the test track. We have now 2 test tracks, right? One in the Ottawa Greenbelt that's in the old, I don't know if I should say old, but it was on the NCC land, right? So it's not in an actual street. And then we have one on a public test track just in Canada North Tech Park, as you know, just behind us. This is on an actual city street, right? So we have sensors, and we were the first in Canada to do that, right? That's connected to our infrastructure at the city, so our traffic infrastructure and operations center. So it's the first one in Canada, and then the Ottawa Greenbelt was is about 16 kilometers, and it's the largest, I guess, secure test facility in Canada. And so we're quite proud of these 2 test tracks. And it's just, it goes to show from a smart economy perspective how you can marry up a partnership with Invest Ottawa, with the city, and with a group of partners that are creating an environment where we can attract the latest and greatest in high tech in the automotive sector. And for us, the nice play here is it's connected with our infrastructure, with the city, right? Infrastructure. And it allows us to take the connected car to the next level where it becomes autonomous. And how do we connect with the car and its infrastructure as we move forward, right? So this is a great showpiece for us at the city. Talent attraction and retention is another big piece. As you know, it's a challenge that we all face. And when I was in the private sector in high tech, talents, you're always chasing talent, right? There's no doubt about that, and that'll make you or break you. And not surprisingly, it's this, it's the second biggest issue that the high tech community faces is to attract talent. And so we're well aware of that. And just recently, Invest Ottawa announced its talent strategy. I won't go through it in detail, but it's a multifaceted strategy where we're set to attract talent, whether it's our expats or our partnerships with higher ed education to really try to foster an environment where we can attract top talent, keep top talent, and keep driving that high tech community to grow. So I won't go through this in detail, but those 2 elements of the test track, well, 3 elements really, the innovation program, the test track, what we're doing from a talent perspective, are just the cusp of what we're doing around the smart economy piece. Let me talk to you about Connected City, because again, all of this smart city stuff is great, but unless you can have the connectivity to really drive that, everything from the 5G when you talk about autonomous vehicles, to rural connectivity to make sure that everybody has an inclusive experience at the city as we're moving more and more into a digital world, connectivity becomes critical. So next gen infrastructure, we're moving forward with that in partnership with the CRC around testing that in our facilities, and we're expanding that program and that partnership. Sensors and data, I said that we were one of the levels of government that's most sensor connected, and we want to leverage that, and there's a number of pilots that are underway using our sensors in real life applications with citizens, and I'll give you a sense of that. And then bridging the digital divide. And that's an area that's difficult, but we need to tackle, and that's really focused on rural connectivity. And let me give you a sense of why that is. Ottawa is larger than Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver combined. You can put all of those cities within our geographical boundaries and you'd still have about 100 kilometers left for change. That's how big we are from a rural connectivity perspective. We're one of the biggest geographical spreads in any city in Canada, and that creates a huge connectivity challenge for us. If you look at the connectivity map from the CRT, this is based from the CRTC website for those that are familiar with this, gives you a sense of the orange is the high-speed availability, and then the green is the broadband access is unavailable. And it gives you a bit of a snapshot of how uneven connectivity is in the City of Ottawa. If we're talking smart city, we got to crack this nut. Not a difficult thing. It's a very difficult thing to do, not a trivial thing, right? And but here's the challenge. And I'm purposely talking about a challenge to this audience in particular, because I think if the City of Ottawa, not local government, but us as a city, having high-tech hub that has a strong foundation in telecommunications, and we have a government capability that is bar none from a center of expertise. We have a great set of resources on public services. If you can find a way to marry those up, if we can't solve this issue here in Ottawa, I don't know who else can. We have the expertise in place to try to tackle this problem, and we're not going to solve it in a day, but we need help. The City of Ottawa, we're not a telecom, we're not the CRTC, we don't have a lot of levers when it comes to rural connectivity. But we can play a broker role, we can be an influencer, we can do a whole bunch of things to bring people together to solve this problem, but this is a challenge that belongs to all of us. Given the expertise that we have in this city, given the passion for public service, given the geographical sprawl that we have and the challenge that we have, I think we're uniquely positioned to start to crack this nut. And I hope that through this term of council, we'll be able to start to see the early signs of that. So, important element of our strategy for sure. We're working on, I talked about infrastructure, next-gen infrastructure. We're working on 5G. We're working with the CRC on enabling 5G. We're expanding that partnership to a whole bunch of test beds in our facilities to really drive more research around this next-gen technology. So we're moving forward with that. We're ongoing testing in live urban environments, and it's a growing partnership, so we're expanding that going forward. We really want to be at the forefront of 5G deployment, and it's going to be a critical element of our smart city strategy. It plays really well into the autonomous vehicle test track and where we're trying to take the city. Sensors and data, like I say, we are more sensor enabled probably than any other level of government, and we have great examples here of things that we're doing from a sensor perspective. You may or may not be aware of that we're moving forward with converting street lights to LED. There's about 58,000 street lights that we're converting. Will be done roughly by 2021. They'll be converted and networked. They'll have the capability of putting additional sensors on streetlights, whatever those may need to be. And so it gives us a tremendous amount of additional sensor network capability out in our infrastructure. So a critical element of where we're going. A couple of interesting pilots that you might want to be aware of. We had an artificial intelligence signal systems pilot on Innis Roads connected to our traffic signals. And it provides kind of real-time adjustments based on traffic flow sensors. And again, it's just a sign of how we can connect our infrastructure to the roads using next-gen software, using artificial intelligence to start to really take our traffic signal system to the next level. And we have one of the most sophisticated traffic signal systems in North America to begin with. So you can see that we're doubling down on our expertise. The EcoDrive pilot is another interesting one. We provided fleet vehicles with real-time recommendations on traffic signals, and this was more of a to try to reduce emissions, right? So to really time with the vehicles their ability to hit a green light as they were moving forward, so that there's less stop and go from a commercial vehicle perspective. So really interesting kind of eco-pilot. I was talking to somebody from FCM there earlier, I forget their names, but I don't know if he's still here. This would be a great pilot for the Green Fund, right? So, but a really interesting pilot. And we have a smart cone pilot as well. So this is using thermal imaging to detect cyclists and pedestrians to provide visual blind spot warning to drivers. This is an interesting one. This is, forget, Matt, what road this is on. O'Connor. And I don't know if you've driven by O'Connor, but there's a cycling track there that is actually bi-directional, right? It's in one of the only ones. I don't know if you've driven by there, but it could be, it's an area that you want to make sure that drivers have a good perspective on what's coming and what's going right on that lane. And so it was a great place to pilot the smart cone technology to really be able to detect that and assist drivers and cyclists. So an interesting pilot there as well. But you can see this is just a quick sample. But the minute that you can start to connect your infrastructure with people in the world around them, whether it's the connected car for commercial vehicles, or whether it's just connecting your infrastructure to provide more intelligence in the traffic signal system that's automated, or whether it's around smart cone and safety, the more you're connecting, and their use cases go on and on and on and on in a city, right? So really interesting advanced pilots that we're doing from a connectivity perspective. Innovative government. So this is an area that is near and dear to me in particular, because I think the opportunity here of connecting our citizens with the services they consume in new and different ways are really, it's off the charts, right? And for those that are familiar with digital and where digital service delivery is going, everybody, public or private, in service delivery are really trying to deliver this personalized, customized, in-context experience. And we've all lived through this, right? I don't know how many of you ever got a little notification from Google saying, it's going to take you 15 minutes to go home. It's like, how does it know that? I got a notification the other day from Google when I was traveling to say, you're 15 minutes away from the airport. And so it knew when I was leaving. Now, some of that stuff's a little scary, but the point is, but the point is everybody, public or private, are trying to customize the experience, right, to you in context. One that I like to get, though, I don't know if you've ever driven across the border, and then you get a note from your Bell or your Rogers to say, hey, you're into a new service provider and the rates are X, Y, and Z will apply, right, type of thing. Now that's helpful. It's in context, it's sent directly to you. And so, and the examples multiply, right? Whether it's your banking, your telecom, Netflix, Amazon, you go on and on and on. The challenge for this in a city context is if you're trying to provide a personalized, customized, in-context experience, you're basically moving towards a strategy, what they call in marketing terms, the segment of one, if you're familiar with that. Meaning you're trying to customize and personalize an experience for each one of your customers. Right? Now, in digital world, that starts to become possible, right? It's in some ways taking you back to the 1900s when you'd walk into the general store and they knew you, and they knew that, you know, your little son Bobby wanted a red bike, and guess what? We just got one in, and he's gonna love it. And so it's taking you back to that personalized, customized, in-context experience. Everybody, public or private, in digital is trying to get there. Now, there's a lot of concerns around privacy and data, and you have to be careful about all those things, and consent, and absolutely. And we want to make sure that, you know, citizens control their data, their privacy, but we also want to provide value to citizens. And so in a city context, in the City of Ottawa, what this means, this kind of North Star aspirational vision, means that you've got 1 million residents that you're trying to customize an experience. And bear in mind, we all interact with the city in different ways. I don't have kids, so swimming lessons and stuff, that's not relevant to me. But I might want to get emergency notifications from the city, though. I'd want to get that. I may want to know when the likelihood of my water pipes freezing in the wintertime. I'd want to know that. I might want to know the status of my 311 request. There's a cluster of services that might be relevant to me. And that's where we're really going in the innovative pillar. We're focused on the citizens and providing you an experience with your service delivery provider, the City of Ottawa, that's personalized, customized, in context. And let me give you a sense of what that really means in practice. And I'm going to give you some real examples of things that we're working on. The bottom of the screen here, and I just want you to follow because the next few slides will follow this, is just a generic service delivery journey, if you will, right? You may start by trying to get some information from us on our website or whatever. Then you may actually ask us to do something about it. Like, oh, you know what, there's a pothole, I want the pothole to be filled, right? Okay, fine. We may have to schedule a crew, send out a crew. We're going to fill the pothole, and then we're going to close the service request, right? So this is just a genericized service delivery view. But here's what we're trying to do, right? When you're coming in to get some information, we're trying to engage you in different ways now, right? We don't just want you to go in a government website to look at pages and pages of information for you to find something. I want you to be able to customize the information you want to get from us, right? So if you're interested in Parks and Rec information, or you're interested in emergency notifications, or what are you interested in, and can you customize it, and can we deliver you with that customized information when you need it? And early days of this, but we have an app out now, it's in beta testing, that's doing just that, trying to provide you in surface information that you think is relevant to you. Virtual home assistants, you've probably heard a lot about this, Google Home, Alexa, there's several of them out there now. Artificial intelligence chatbots, which, you know, over time, all of this will become ubiquitous. But we're looking at ways to provide you services that's frictionless, right? So you're in your car, Amazon Alexa is in the cars now, you're talking to your car, you're talking to your device. Can you just ask us a question? What's my garbage day tomorrow? What is it, green bin, blue bin? You know, is this piece of aluminum, you know, green bin, or is it in for the blue bin? It's meant to be frictionless, so you can just talk to us, right, in a way using artificial intelligence. When you move to intake, I'm taking you down the path here, intake, I'm trying to provide you an in-context experience. You're walking your dog, you see a pothole, you should be able to flip your phone open, geolocate a picture, send it in. A couple of clicks, you're done, right? So submit service request anywhere, time. The app does that. It allows you to do that in context, right? Or what about augmented reality to get information in context? What if we can provide you with an information about a development application before you even have to ask us to do anything, right? What if you wanted to see the development application using augmented reality? We're working on that right now as a proof of concept, right? So that you can see what that looks like. What is a new library going to look like? What is that new development application down the street going to look like? And then we're providing you GPS-based alerts and notifications in real time. So again, on intake, we're trying to provide you that in-context experience at the city. Moving down the path around assess. So this is when I'm taking your information and I'm trying to schedule and make sure I deliver the service for you. right? So what if I could provide you with more visibility on, let's say, bookings, so that you can see what times are busier, what times are available, can you self-book, right? All of this, you might say, well, geez, yeah, sure, like we do that, you can do that in your personal lives using, third-party providers all the time. We need to start being able to do that and set your expectations around when you can come in, how much time is it going to take, and can you self-book? Same thing for paramedics is a great example here. This actually made the news. We ran a pilot around triangulating information on emergency rooms with the ambulance, with dispatch, to avoid having an ambulance go to an emergency room that was full. And therefore the ambulance has to stay there until a bed opens up. But by triangulating information from the hospital emergency rooms in Ottawa with your ambulance, GPS base, right, with the dispatch, you can triangulate the request with the ambulance, with the hospital emergency room that has availability. And then you become much more efficient at providing care to someone in context. So again, and there's other examples of this, but we're trying to be able to set expectations, but also deliver on that expectations faster, sooner, better. Following me here, we're into delivery now. I'm either closing the pothole or I'm delivering. Some people say, well, that's great for service requests, but what about like water? Like you're going to empower people on water? Yes, we can on that one. Of course we can. We can give you real-time water consumption information so that you're empowered to change the likely result of your water bill at the end of the month, right? And this is available now, right? You can sign up for this. You can get a notification on your water consumption. So what we're trying to do on delivery here is we're trying to make sure that we're partners with citizens in empowering you to really change the likely outcome of that delivery. And water consumption is a great example because I think that hydro provides that same kind of service around consumption. So it's a critical service. And then when we're finished providing that service, we want to close the loop with you. So we want to be able to get quick automated customer feedback. It doesn't have to be a long survey. It could be, how do we do? Thumbs up or down. We just closed the pothole. I can send you a picture of that pothole. How'd we do? Thumbs up or down. Let us know, right? Or we can send you a quick notification to say that we've closed a certain pothole or graffiti we've removed. How'd we do? Get that continuous improvement loop that allows us to continuously improve on our services. It's quick, it's fast, it's in context. It allows us to get the feedback we need, the voice of the customer, if you will, the voice of the citizen back into our feedback loop. So let me go through a couple of project updates. These are launches that we've done to date. I've referenced a few of them, and I think it might be of interest just to elaborate on a couple of them. The first one was the app, right? We're in beta release right now, and I'd encourage everyone in this room to download the app and tell us what you think. The approach that we're taking on everything that we deploy in digital around innovative government for Smart City 2.0 is meant to be released in a beta format. This room will probably understand this better than most, but what we're trying to do is to evolve the product with the community, right? We don't want to have a completely fully featured product released right away. What we want is a beta version of the product to be released and then co-create, if you will, with citizens in terms of how we evolve the product. And so what you're seeing here, we had base functionality around a 311 capability. For those that don't use 311, it's a mechanism by which to trigger a service request, whether it's graffiti removal or a pothole to be filled. And so it allows you to geolocate, take a picture, you're walking your dog, you see it, you send it to us, right? It allows us to notify you. So we have a notification engine now and the capability of sending you push notifications to you. So it allows us to push in emergency situations, allows us to push emergency notifications to you. We could send notifications on delay in garbage pickups, road closure alerts. All of these actually were used in the app over the last few months, right? We've had a flooding situation, as you know. We've had a little mini tornado that hit in the East End. We've had to have, even during Snowmageddon this winter, where we had that really nasty snowstorm, but this wasn't released yet, but I had a version of it, and then we were proactively sending notifications on the status of traffic, of garbage pickups, of service delivery interruptions, etc. Very, very helpful. But we're looking to evolve the product. So I invite you to download it and give us your feedback. Open Ottawa, this is really an interesting one. We have an open data program at the City of Ottawa. We have about 175 data sets that now are available. And it's a critical way for us to release data, both for third-party developers that may seek to look at the data in different ways or use it as part of their applications or development, but it also is a mechanism by which to provide people with better visibility and transparency on local government. The challenge we had was the old site that we were using for open data was fairly static and was really geared to third-party developers. But for the average citizen that really wants to consume the data in a way that allows them to visualize it in terms of maps, allows them to filter the information, to really use that data in almost like a citizen analytics portal, if you will. That capability didn't exist. So what we've done is we've leveraged our Esri platform, and for those that aren't familiar with Esri, it's kind of a world-class geospatial system that many municipalities use. It's kind of like it's a world-class system. And we've leveraged that capability, and it allows us now to visualize data using maps, using bar charts. It allows us to very simply allow the average citizen to filter information based on their neighborhood, based on what they want to see. It's point and click. It's very slick and easy to use, but it also maintains the ability to still draw the information using APIs for the developer community. So it really is serving multiple purposes now in ways that we just couldn't before, and it makes us more accessible and transparent, and it has tons of potential to visualize data and tell a story in ways we just couldn't before. It makes data come alive. It makes us be able to tell a story through data in ways that we just couldn't. A lot of potential for this platform. It's been released in beta version, again, following our strategy. It allows us to evolve the platform, and we're actively seeking feedback on the platform, and I invite everyone to access it, to look at it. We're using a crowdsourcing tool to really provide us more visibility on what people want to see, what kind of data they want to see, and how they want to see the platform evolve. We're also moving forward with more interfaces, right? We were one of the first in Canada to release our, well actually the first, OC Trans was the first public transit authority in Canada to provide APIs to allow residents to visualize data. And we're quite proud of that. And then we are, I'm not sure how many municipalities have an open 311 API, but there's few. We're one of them. That allows us to have information go both ways, right? So meaning that people can submit information directly into our 311 system, and we can submit information back out to them. So it's not just a one-directional API, it allows you to go bi-directional. And we were using that to really foster innovation out there. We are taking a no wrong door approach to our digital policy. We want to make sure that if somebody wants to develop an app out there that's better, faster, more consumable, fill your boots. But we want to make sure that we have a presence in mobile given our size and complexity of an organization, but we are committed to continue to open up our APIs. It really is at the cornerstone of innovative government, is being able to really invite the outside in, right, to really connect and develop and help us co-create. And then we have, the third one is around a My Service Ottawa for those that have an account with us. We have a Recollect waste pickup API that allows us to tell you when your garbage pickup, what's in the garbage pickup. It allows, I didn't actually subscribe to this until I joined the City of Ottawa, but when I joined, I find it incredibly useful, and tons of people use this as a quick reminder of when their garbage day is and what's included in it. So we're continuing to move forward on our APIs, and you'll likely see some more announcements before the end of the year on APIs. And I think this is the last piece here is we have Engage Ottawa. Engage Ottawa is a crowdsourcing tool, and we're moving forward with that, again, in the spirit of open government, collaborative government, co-creation, bringing the outside in. We really are trying to expand the way that we engage with the public. And we're using a platform now that we're piloting called, I think the actual platform is called Bang the Table, believe it or not. But we've relabeled it Engage Ottawa. It seems a little bit more appropriate. And we've used this platform for I think it's the City Library, is it? The new City Library, Inspire. I think it's called Inspire 555. Is that? Am I correct? So we're using the same platform to get sort of collaborate and engage the public on new and different ideas. We're using this for an open data platform in getting the data, and we're seeing other ways that we can engage the public using a crowdsourcing tool that allows us to engage with a much more broad base of folks, much more diverse and inclusive in our approach to really public consultation. And it takes public consultation to another level. It's more engagement than consultation because we're driving the capability of co-creating through these platforms. So anyhow, those are just, it gives you a bit of a sense of, that's kind of my last slide, but it gives us a sense of where we're going on the Smart City 2.0. I do want to leave you with just some final thoughts. I'm really excited about the Smart City 2.0. I'm excited about this space and I'm excited about this sector. I think the time is ripe for this sector, for the municipal sector, to take advantage of where technology is taking us and combined with the demographic and economic trends around the urban area and cities. I think the stars are aligning in ways that they just haven't before. And it's up to us, and when I say us, the broader community, to really seize that opportunity and really, bring the outside in and co-create and drive these initiatives moving forward and really improve our community for the next foreseeable future. So thank you very, very much for having me today. I appreciate the opportunity of speaking with you.